Hey, what's up, guys? It's Eric Kraus, and we're talking film photography. Today, I thought I'd do something a little bit different and take you into my dark room slash bathroom and show you guys the process that I use and the equipment for color film development. Uh, was always kind of thought color development was quite daunting and it'd be a challenge to keep everything the same temperature, but after a little bit of research and experimenting with some equipment, found out it's really not that far off from black and white development. And I can't tell you the last time that I've sent a color roll or sheet of film in for dev work at a lab. So very happy with the results and hope this video helps others who are interested in trying to get started with color development a little bit of a head start. Apologies, the angle in my bathroom, dark room, it's a little tight, so apologies for the cuts in there, and the video is going to be a little bit long today, but wanted to walk you guys through the beginning to end stages of mixing the chemicals, the equipment, and kind of explain everything. So hope you enjoy, and we'll see you back here at the end. First off, a couple of experience things that I've learned in developing with color versus black and white. You know, with black and white, there's so many different variations of which developer for which film you're using and the amount of time that it takes, you know, to develop it. There's a lot of variations there. And so things like the massive dev chart, you know, to be able to figure out, you know, those combinations and how much time. It's not that way with color film development. The C41 process is pretty straightforward in the fact that it's the same amount of development for no matter which type of film you're using or for which speed. So you can put Ectar 100 in with, you know, let's say, you know, Portra 800, and you can develop those at the exact same time, and it develops for the same duration. So from that perspective, it's actually, you know, easier because you don't really have to think or calculate too much. You follow the instructions that come with your developer kit and load up your chemicals and you're good to go. The chemicals for C41 are much more temperature sensitive too. Not where black and white, where you could be off a couple of degrees here and there. You really need to be locked on to the temperature that the instructions say for the kit. And so one of the things and one of the reasons why it seems daunting to a lot of people is keeping everything in the system at that temperature for the entire duration of while you're developing. I came across the Anova sous vide cooker. You can find them on Amazon, and I'll put the link in the notes below. But I think the accuracy, it said it was like 1/10 of a degree, which I thought would be more than fine for this purpose that was there. And I was very, very, very skeptical that it would be that way. I've been using this now for a few months, and I will say, testing against known good thermometers, it locks in when it says, you know, the temperature reads out here at 1/10 of a degree. When it's reading out, it's locked in on that, and it can hold that temperature, you know, until the water evaporates, essentially. So very, very, very happy with this setup here. It takes, you know, a tub of water with, you know, several gallons in there. I try to pull the hottest water out of the tap to fill this tub up. And I've got I know where it needs to be for this, but it can go from, you know, just 70 degrees, 80 degree water all the way up to 103, which I have it set at now, in about 20 minutes or so. So by the time I'm getting everything else ready to go, this water will be heated up and it'll just sit and wait for me until I'm ready. So very happy with this for the price. You know, it's very inexpensive relative to buying a big system. So this has worked out pretty well. You know, a tub for, you know, $10 or something like that really is the kind of makeup of the system. So the next part of this that's important is the actual chemicals, the chemistry that's here. I'm using the Unicolor C41 kit. It comes in a box that's like this, and it comes with a number of the chemicals all separated out for you, and some nice instructions that talk you through both the mixing and the actual development process. Most of the kits out there come with a developer, so that's one of the steps in the process, is the developer. A lot of the kits have combined the bleach and the fixer into two different parts that both go into what they call the Blix. So there's a part A, a part B. These will get mixed together and then into the the storage containers for that. And the third step is the stabilizer. This is the last step in there to help kind of stabilize the film and make sure that the image and everything stays on. A few of the other things that are in my equipment kit, a really good long stem thermometer. I use several thermometers and kind of retest to make sure that they stay calibrated and stay accurate. So having something that can tell me that this is still doing a good job, that the temperature of my chemicals and everything's ready to go is very important. A funnel for returning the chemicals back into their containers. That's another thing, that the color chemicals, they can be reused over and over and over again. So unlike my black and white, I don't make up a batch and let it sit for months or weeks at a time. I really build up a kind of queue of film to be developed, and then mix up my chemistry and do as much of it as possible, and then try to get as much film through it, and that's how you get your efficiency out of it. So anyway, a funnel for putting the chemistry back in there, a container for mixing and for pouring some of the liquid back and forth. When I mix the chemicals, I mix them into these accordion type bottles, and they squeeze down, you see, like this. One of the things that, in addition to actually developing the film that diminishes the quality of the chemicals, is air. So the more air you can get out, the better, and the longer that it will last while you are storing it. So you might be able to get, more than just days. You might be able to get a couple of weeks on some chemistry if you can really get all the air out. So these accordion bottles are really nice. These are 1 liter bottles. They're actually probably about 1.5 liters or 2 in this size, but when you squeeze them down, it squeezes down perfectly to squeeze all the air out and leaves 1 liter of liquid behind. So I'm going to mix up some chemistry here. I've got a gallon of distilled water that's been heating up in here. It's not critical that it is warm when you mix it, but mixing into warm water, it just mixes a little bit better. Plus, it's less heat up time that it'll take me to get the chemicals up to 102 degrees, which is what I'm going to develop at. All right, so we'll get these guys on. Get my water here. That's sitting in the sink. I've got everything all covered up nice. Here's my little stir stick. Definitely don't use anything from your kitchen that you're ever going to eat with again. All right, so we've got about 800 milliliters of water. We're going to open up the developer right now. We'll give this just a little bit of mixing here. Okay, and then we'll just top it up to equal 1 liter. There we go. I'll grab my jug that is marked developer, which is my number 1. And I also have labeled on the jug number 1. As you're changing the chemicals and pouring them back and forth, sometimes a cap can get misplaced for another cap, and it's really important to make sure, especially that one of the other caps doesn't get put on here. You can spoil the developer fairly easily by contaminating it. Okay, that's mixed up. Press this down. And we've got developer mixed up. Now the Blix, as I mentioned, there's 2 different parts. When you put these 2 parts together for the Blix, there's an exothermic chemical reaction, and basically it generates some heat, but there's also some gases that get generated as well. And you'll notice, especially in the development tank, that the top will start to bulge, and you need to release some of the air that's inside of it. We've got number 2 here. And there you have it. We've got chemicals ready to go. We've got our bath almost heated up. We'll have to turn this back on and get the chemicals in there to get them right up to the temperature, but we're just about ready to develop some color film. All right, so I've got the chemicals all mixed up. You know, there's a little bit of water that's left in here. What I do, one of the first steps for the film is to have them go through a temperature pre-wash for about a minute. And so what I've done is I take distilled water, the amount that's left in there, and I fill up two 16-ounce bottles. I'll throw those in here. I'll get those heated up to the temperature. That helps prep the film, kind of wash, kind of some of the contaminants that might be on there. Wash that off, but as well heat the bottle or your developer tank and the film and everything up to that 102 just to get it ready so that it's not as much of a shock when you put 102 temperature developer into it. So we'll get those in here. We'll get these guys kicked off, and what I do is I take these, I'll let a little bit of air in just to help from a buoyancy perspective, but I'll put these right in here like this, and I'll do that for the Blix as well. Put those in here. But then I'll turn this thing on, and it's pretty quiet. Overall it's not very loud, and as it's now moving the water past the temperature sensor, I can see it's at about almost 97 degrees, and we're going up to 103. I found if I go up just a little bit past 102, it helps. There's a little bit of a heat loss, through the process, and so starting at 103, I've gotten really good results with. So we're gonna let these kind of get heated back up, kind of make sure everything, the chemicals are all mixed up in these. And then we're gonna get the film loaded into the canister and get my tank, and we'll be ready to develop some film. We're back. We got 2 rolls of 120 medium format film loaded in this 1 liter Paterson tank. I usually use this because I can get 2 rolls in there, but I also shoot large format 4x5, which there's a Mod 54 adapter that allows me to develop 6 sheets of film in here as well. So this 1 liter is now my go-to tank, just because I can get a little bit more volume and get some better efficiency. I've got the bottles sitting in here. They've been warming up. The bath has been at temperature for about 10 minutes or so, which usually is about enough time, but I don't just trust the bath. It's really the developer that I am most critical, that is most critical for the temperature. So I will do a temperature reading here, and when this gets up to 102, that's when I know that I'm really ready to go. And yep, we're hitting 102. So now I know I'm good to go whenever point I want to start. So I've got my Darkroom Lab Timer app on my phone here. Let's do a rundown of the steps here. We've got a minute pre-wash with the water that's in these bottles. Developer for 3.5 minutes, bleach fix for 6.5 minutes, final wash of just regular tap water for 3 minutes, and then the stabilizer for a minute. I think we're ready for the pre-wash, and then from that point on, it's go, 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 go. There isn't really much time to rest. All right, we'll put these water bottles in here, the wash. We'll get our timer started here. A little bit more than a liter, but it should work. No agitation for the wash. Like I said, the main reason for this is really to heat everything up and just kind of get anything off that might be on the film. And then what I'm going to do is get my developer ready to go here. And there's a threshold that if the water level gets too low. but that'll be fixed here in just a second. All right, so we're coming up on the minute. And here we go. This is my favorite part. What color will it be? What a nice green. Okay, here we go. Developer in. Do a little bit of an agitation at the beginning here for a few seconds. And then I'll get the lid on. Don't want this to leak. And right at my 30-second mark, and back in. Start this back up. All right, so we're at the 3-minute mark. Just about done with the developer, so I am going to put my funnel in there and get this ready to go. Just a little bit here. I'll get this shut off. Get my Blix over here ready to go. Pull this out, take my cap off. Just rinse my cap really quick just to not get any developer, but developer back in. To its container. I'll just set this aside and then get my Blix. Blix in, and we'll start that off. Same thing here. I get just a few seconds to agitate at the beginning. Get my lid on. Right at my 30-second mark. Now here you can see the lid right there, just letting that air out a little bit. The development and the Blix need to be done in a light tight container like I'm doing right now. But from this point forward, the wash and the stabilize can all be done with the lid off and actually opened up. So it's really nice. If there ever was a bad batch, I always kind of check to see ahead of time if the film actually turned out. At that point, everything's done. So pull this off. Just give a rinse here on the lid because I won't need that anymore. We're going to put the Blix back in. And now I'm going to get the first couple rinses through here, just rinsing everything off before I open it up. All right, we are closing in. Last couple of seconds here. A little bit wash, yeah, and I've got clean water coming through, so that's a pretty good sign. All right, last step here. We're gonna put the stabilizer on. Get that a start. There we go. And then stabilizer is an agitate for first 15 seconds or so. All right. Stabilizer back in. Fold this down, and that's it. We've got developed color film. Hope you enjoyed the video today. Thanks for putting up with some kind of awkward camera angles and a little bit longer content than usual. I wanted to walk you through the end-to-end process so you could see everything from mixing the chemicals to, you know, the complete development process. It's not that different, not that much different from black and white, with a little bit of extra equipment and care. But I'll post the links to the equipment that I use. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Again, hope you enjoyed the video today and find the color film development not so daunting that you're willing to give it a try. And if you do, please share your photos. Would love to see them. Till next time, keep shooting.